When I thought I was just taking shelter from the rain, but that mechanic quietly fixed my heart. I always thought heartbreak came with a soundtrack, some sad indie ballad playing on loop. But no. Mine came with the sound of wiper blades dying on dry glass and a broken GPS shouting, recalculating, in the middle of nowhere. I hadn't planned to drive through a thunderstorm or land myself in a town so small it barely had a welcome sign. But there I was, 26, half frozen, dripping wet in a tank top and cut-off jeans, standing at the entrance of what looked like the last garage before the world ended. Garage might have been generous. The place looked more like a half-collapsed barn than a business. A crooked McRae auto repair sign swung dangerously above the door, the wind yanking at it like it had a vendetta. But I was desperate. I stepped inside, shivering hard, my heart still racing, not from the rain, but from what I had left behind just a few hours earlier. A fiancé. A wedding dress. And a text message that read, "I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. I need to find who I really am." Yeah, that was me. The girl who ghosted on her own engagement dinner and drove until the map went blank. I heard a clang, then footsteps. That's when I saw her. She stepped out from beneath a rust-red '71 Mustang, wiping grease from her hands with a rag that had clearly given up years ago. Her dark hair was buzzed on the sides, longer on top, sticking up like she'd run fingers through it 1,000 times and lost the battle every time. Her face was cut from steel-sharp jaw, defined cheekbones, but her eyes. God! Her eyes were the softest green I'd ever seen. Like spring trying to bloom in winter. "Car trouble?" she asked, her voice low and even, but not unkind. "No. Life trouble," I said before I could stop myself. She didn't flinch. Just gave me a once-over and jerked her head toward a dusty bench near the door. "Well, life repairs take longer. You might want to sit down." I laughed. Short, dry, the kind that might have been tears if I hadn't already run out. I sat. "I'm Logan," she said. "And you're?" "Quinn." She nodded. Didn't ask questions. Didn't prod. Just turned back to her car, her muscles flexing beneath a tank top smeared in oil. She moved like someone who had nothing to prove but had fought like hell to earn the right to exist. And even though I had no intention of staying long, I found myself watching her. Watching the way she coaxed bolts and rusted pieces into submission, the same way you might talk down a scared animal or a heart that didn't know how to beat properly anymore. The rain pounded outside. Thunder rolled overhead like the sky was splitting open. But inside the garage, time warped. It was warm. Safe. Real. "You okay?" she asked later, when she caught me staring. "No," I said. "But I'm better here." She gave a small smile and handed me a mug of coffee from a tiny corner counter, one of those old gas station machines that probably hadn't been cleaned since 2003. "You don't have to talk," she said. "Just be." And so I stayed. I didn't mean to come back the next day. But I did. I told myself it was because my car needed gas, or because I forgot my phone charger. But the truth? I wanted to see her again. She was there exactly where I left her. Same tank top. Same grease stains. Same look in her eyes, like she'd seen too much of the world to expect anything good, but she'd still show up and try anyway. "You again," she said, not surprised. "Me again." She handed me a wrench. "Wanna help?" I didn't know the first thing about cars. But I knew I wanted to be near her. So I nodded. For the next hour, she taught me how to change spark plugs. I fumbled every step. She didn't laugh. She just said, "Better than most," and looked at me like maybe I was. That night, I sat on the hood of my car in the lot out front, watching the stars come out. She joined me, handed me a beer, and said nothing. We didn't talk about exes. We didn't talk about labels. We talked about the little things. Favorite smells. The first time she rode a motorcycle. The time I got a jellyfish stuck in my swimsuit. And I realized something. She made the silence feel like music. A week passed. I stayed in the only motel in town. Wrote a few emails I never sent. Ignored texts from my mother, my bridesmaids, my would-be husband. And every day, I went to the garage. Every day, Logan found a new excuse to teach me something. How to change a tire. How to read an engine light. How to know when a car's been hurt just by the sound it makes. And every day, I wondered if she knew she was teaching me how to fix more than just metal. That night, we danced. There was no music. Just the radio static and the hum of a fluorescent bulb. I don't know who moved first. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was her. But suddenly, we were swaying, her hands warm on my hips, mine curled around her neck. I felt everything I'd tried to bury rise up: grief, guilt, fear, and this strange, terrifying hope. I don't know what this is, I whispered. I don't care what it is, she replied. I just know it feels real. And then she kissed me. Not like a question. Like a statement. Like a truth I'd been running from my whole life. But nothing good comes without a cost. The next morning, I woke up to find her gone. Garage closed. Lights off. Tools missing. I panicked. Had I imagined it? Had I come on too strong? Did I misread everything? I found a note taped to my windshield. Had to go to Denver. Emergency tow. Back tomorrow. Don't overthink it. You're not the only one scared of feeling something real. I sat in my car and cried. And for the first time, it wasn't because I was broken. It was because someone had finally seen me and hadn't looked away. I spent the next 24 hours hovering in a strange state of limbo. Half of me was relieved she left a note. The other half was in a tailspin, spiraling through doubts I thought I'd buried with my old life. Who was I to think this could be real? I paced the motel room like a caged thing, rereading her note until the ink nearly wore off from my thumbs. I didn't even know if I believed in things like fate or timing anymore, but something about Logan made me want to. So, I waited. And somewhere in that wait, I realized I wasn't just running away from the life I left behind. I was running toward something, too. Toward her. Toward the version of me that didn't ask for permission to be whole. She came back the next morning. The sound of her old Chevy truck coughing into the lot jolted me out of sleep like a defibrillator to the chest. I was at the garage before she even cut the engine. You look like hell, she said, stepping out in ripped jeans and a fresh oil stain on her shirt. Her hair was windblown, her eyes tired, but she smiled. Didn't sleep, I admitted. Logan didn't laugh. She just reached into the back of her truck, pulled out a bag of warm donuts and 2 black coffees. Breakfast? I nodded, and we sat on the tailgate, biting into cheap sugar and letting the silence fill in the cracks. Then she spoke, quietly. I thought about not coming back. I froze. She looked out across the empty street, her fingers tapping a restless rhythm on the edge of the truck bed. I've left a trail of people behind me, Quinn. People who thought I was one thing when I wasn't ready to be that. I didn't want you to be one of them. I placed my coffee down. And what do you think I see you as? Her lips curved, not quite a smile, not quite sorrow. Someone who lets me forget I'm broken. You're not broken, I said. She looked me dead in the eye. Neither are you. Something in me cracked. We kissed again, slower this time. Less thunder, more gravity. Like 2 people finally letting go of the edge and choosing to fall together. That afternoon, Logan took me out to the edge of town. There was an old junkyard there, sprawled out across the hills like a metal graveyard. She walked me between rusted hoods and sun-bleached bumpers like it was sacred ground. "This place used to scare me," she said. "All these forgotten things. But now I think maybe it's beautiful. Proof that even the most wrecked things once had purpose." She stopped beside an old VW bus, dented and moss-covered. "I lived in that for 2 years." My eyes widened. "You're serious?" "Dead serious. Left home at 17. Had a backpack, a set of tools, and more stubbornness than sense." She laughed, a soft huff of breath. "Taught myself to fix engines because I couldn't afford to pay someone else to do it. Fixed other people's cars to feed myself. That bus got me through everything." I stepped closer, running my hand along the cold metal. "And now? Now I don't hide in it anymore," she said. "Now I show people how to rebuild what's broken." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "I think that's what you're doing to me." She looked at me for a long time. Then said, quietly, "Yeah. I think I am." The days stretched, lazy and golden. I got grease on my hands. Learned the difference between a torque wrench and a socket set. Watched Logan's guard drop, inch by inch, like a city lifting curfews after war. And I fell for her. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't a fairy tale. It was steadier than that. Like an old engine that rumbled to life after years of silence. Imperfect, but undeniably alive. We didn't put a label on it. Didn't need to. It was in the way she touched my hand when passing tools. The way I looked at her when she tied her hair up with an elastic from her wrist. The way we moved around each other delicate, sure, like a slow dance in a workshop. I started writing again. Not emails. Not apologies. Stories. Small ones. About women who loved other women. About girls like Memacy, afraid, running but not alone. I shared one with her one night. She read it, slowly, her thumb tracing the edge of the page. When she finished, she looked up, her voice low and rough. "You should publish this." I shrugged. "Who'd read it?" "I would," she said. "Every word." And then came the letter. It arrived on a Tuesday, slipped under my motel door like it was ashamed to be seen. From my mother. I stared at the envelope for hours before opening it. "Quinn. We miss you. I don't know where you are, but your father and I are worried sick. We're not angry. We just want to understand. Please call. Even just to say you're okay. Mom." I folded it neatly and placed it in the drawer beside the motel Bible. That night, I told Logan everything. About the wedding. The expectations. The fear that had followed me like a ghost my whole life. She didn't try to fix it. She just sat with me, her thigh pressed to mine, a silent anchor in the storm. "You don't have to go back," she said. "Not unless it's for you." I shook my head. "I don't know who me even is anymore." She looked at me, her voice soft but firm. "I do. She's brave. She's kind. She's the only person who ever made this place feel like more than a pit stop." I leaned into her, let myself believe it for one moment. But the world doesn't let you stay hidden forever. One morning, a man in a button-up and khakis pulled into the garage in a rental car. He got out, looked around, and spotted me. "Quinn." I froze. It was Adam. My ex-fiancé. He looked thinner. Paler. Like someone had drained all the certainty out of him. "What are you doing here?" I managed to say. "I came to find you," he said. "Your mom told me you'd disappeared. We were worried." "I didn't disappear," I said. "I left." "I know," he said. "And maybe I deserve that. Maybe we both weren't honest with each other. But, Quinn, I still care about you. Logan appeared behind me then, wiping her hands on a rag. Her eyes flicked between us. Adam noticed. Oh, he said, his face shifting. I see. No, you don't, I said. You never really did. He paused. Are you serious about this? About her? I turned to Logan. She met my gaze without flinching. Yes, I said. I am. Adam looked like he might say something more. But instead, he just nodded, once, and walked back to his car. No drama. No tears. Just the end of a chapter one was no longer scared to close. Later, I sat with Logan on the back steps of the garage. The sun was setting, casting everything in a warm, forgiving light. I'm proud of you, she said. I laughed, shakily. For what? Breaking another heart? For choosing your own, she said. Even when it's hard. I leaned into her, heart wide open. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel lost. I felt home. Summer turned slowly into early fall. The mornings were cooler now, and the breeze carried the first hints of changewood smoke, damp earth, and the rustling hush of trees getting ready to let go. I started waking up before sunrise without needing an alarm. Not out of stress, but something more subtle, like my body had finally fallen in rhythm with a place, with a person, with myself. Logan and I had fallen into a pattern that felt so natural, so human, it scared me sometimes. We worked side by side at the garage. I handled the customers more and more, diagnosing easy issues, organizing inventory, even changing oil without supervision. She taught me the rest with a kind of patience I'd never known growing up. In the evenings, we cooked in her tiny kitchen behind the garage, canned beans, eggs from the neighbors' chickens, cheap wine. I never thought I'd be so happy eating off mismatched plates at a wobbly table while the sound of crickets poured through a cracked window. One night, curled into her chest on the battered old couch, I whispered something that had been bubbling in my heart for weeks. I don't want to leave. She kissed my forehead. Then don't. It wasn't a grand declaration, but it was the kind that cracked the world open a little wider. And yet change was coming. I could feel it. 2 weeks later, I got a phone call. Not from my mother. Not from Adam. From a literary agent. She'd stumbled on one of the short stories I'd posted anonymously online about the mechanic and the girl who ran from her wedding. She loved it. Asked if there were more. Hundreds, I said. But none of them are finished. Well, she replied. That's what editors are for. I think you have a voice, Quinn. A powerful one. And people need stories like yours. I should have been thrilled. And I was, but I was also terrified. What does it mean? I asked. If I say yes. It means starting over, probably in the city, she said. It means deadlines, meetings, people knowing your name. It means you telling the truth out loud. I thanked her. Promised to think it over. Hung up. And immediately went outside for air. Logan was under the hood of a Chevy Nova when I found her. She saw my face and straightened immediately. What is it? I told her everything. When I finished, she said nothing for a long time. Finally, that's amazing. I nodded. But it would mean leaving. Yeah, she said. It would. I looked at her, waiting for her to say come with me or don't go. She didn't. Instead, she said, do it. That threw me. What? You heard me, she said. Do it. Write. Publish. Be who you're supposed to be. Even if it takes you far away from me. I felt my chest cave inward. Is that your way of saying goodbye? She gave a broken smile. It's my way of not standing in your way. I love you too much to clip your wings. It hit me like a wrench to the gut. I loved her too. But I was afraid. Not just of leaving, but of losing the first person who ever saw me and stayed. The next morning, I packed my bag. Logan didn't try to stop me. She helped me fold my clothes. Made me one last coffee in the garage's dented kettle. Kissed me like she was memorizing the shape of my mouth. "You'll do great things," she said. "You already have," I replied. We didn't say goodbye. That word felt too final, too sharp. Instead, we hugged for a long time, our bodies molded into one aching question neither of us could answer yet. And then I left. New York was everything I remembered, loud, fast, indifferent. But I was different now. I wasn't the girl who ran. I wasn't the bride-to-be searching for someone else's dream. I was Quinn Harper, queer, complicated, messy, and I had stories to tell. The agent helped me craft a manuscript. It wasn't easy. Some days I stared at the screen for hours, afraid to put Logan into words. Afraid that if I did, it would mean she was gone. But the stories came. Piece by piece. Car by car. Kiss by kiss. When I turned in the final draft, I called her. I didn't expect her to pick up. But she did. "Hey," she said, voice warm with surprise and something else, something soft and aching. "I wrote it," I said. "The whole thing." There was a long pause. "I'm proud of you." I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. "I'm flying out for the launch next month. They want to do a reading. I was thinking maybe you could come." Another pause. Then, "You really want me there?" "More than anything." She didn't say yes. Not then. But something in her tone gave me hope. The book came out on the first rainy day of spring. It was called Grease and Rainwater. A story about heartbreak, engine oil, and the woman who fixed more than just cars. The reading was held in a tiny indie bookstore in Brooklyn. People packed in shoulder to shoulder, some queer, some quiet, some clearly there just for the free wine. I scanned the room, hoping, heart pounding. She wasn't there. Not when I stepped up to the mic. Not when I read the first paragraph. But halfway through the chapter, the one where the mechanic teaches the runaway how to find her own pulse again, I saw her. Leaning against the back wall. Hair slick from the rain. Jacket soaked through. Eyes locked on me. I almost forgot how to breathe. When the event ended, people swarmed me. Handshakes. Praise. Questions. But my eyes stayed on her. When the crowd thinned, she stepped forward, hands in her pockets. "You didn't say you were that good," she said. I laughed, on the verge of tears. "You didn't say you were coming." "I had to," she said. "I couldn't let your story end without being in the last chapter." I reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. We spent the night walking through the city. No plans. No destination. Just two women finally on the same page. At sunrise, we sat on the steps of a closed bakery, sharing a chocolate croissant and watching the world wake up. "You still thinking about going back to the garage?" I asked. She looked thoughtful. "Maybe. But I think I want more than just fixing engines now." "Like what?" She turned to me. "Like building a life with someone who makes me believe I deserve one." Tears sprang to my eyes. "I want that too." "So what do we do?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I smiled. "We start over. Together." 1 year later, we opened a new garage. In a bigger town, this time closer to the coast, where the breeze smelled like freedom. We called it Harper and McRae Auto and Stories. Because while Logan fixed cars, I wrote in the back room. And on weekends, we hosted story nights for anyone with grease under their nails and a truth in their heart. People came. Gay kids with shaky hands. Divorced moms starting over. Young mechanics who never thought they'd see themselves in a book. Logan became their hero. And me? I kept writing. Because there are a million stories out there waiting to be told about queer love, about second chances, about rainstorms that lead you exactly where you're meant to be. And I'll never stop telling them. Because when I thought I was just taking shelter from the rain, that woman, with grease on her cheeks and silence in her soul, she quietly fixed my heart. The end. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.